Hi guys, my name is Vuvu and this is Vuvu Venna Reads. If you are new on here, please consider pressing that red subscribe button down below and joining the family. If you are a returnee and member of the fam bam, welcome back fam, and thank you for joining me once again. On today's video, I am sharing 10 books that you should consider reading for Pride Month. It is almost over. South Africa is celebrating Pride Month this month, but I thought it's never late. It's never late. And besides, a queer book, a book by a queer author, or a book that represents any queer characters does not need any time of the year to be read. Okay, you can read it anytime. So in case you don't have these in your radar, do stay tuned.
So Vuvu_reads is an amazing book reviewer, also YouTuber. She reviews books on YouTube, and if I'm not mistaken, she also has a blog as well. So please, if for your connection with literature, get in touch with or follow at VUVUVENA_reads. She is based in South Africa, and I think it is also extremely important to follow literary content creators who are based outside of the West and in continental Africa, because they do a really good job of bridging the gap.
We appreciate you, Vuvu, for bringing us Turning Pages and for bringing us your BookTube channel.
You know, this is a chance for people to actually see some people that I really enjoy.
Please consider pressing the red subscribe button down below, and if you're a returnee, welcome back fam.
Vuvu, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Alright, so the books that I'm going to show you are majority fiction, and the fiction books that I'm going to show you are definitely books that I have read and I have enjoyed, and the non-fiction books are in the minority. So 30% of the stack is made out of non-fiction. I have not read those. I have sampled 2 out of the 3, and yeah, but you guys know how it goes, right? I am not very big on non-fiction, but definitely these are books that I would want to have on my stack. So when I do show you the non-fiction, I'm just going to read you a bit about the author, because the non-fiction is definitely by queer authors. I want to say definitely, I know 2 is definitely by queer authors. Let's just get into this reading, okay? So the first one I'm showing you is a non-fiction called You Have to Be Gay to Know God by Siya Khumalo. Siya Khumalo is a South African, and this book was published by Kwela Books. I did sample this one on a first chapter Friday for International Pride Month. I will link the video up here. So I will say a bit about Siya Khumalo for you guys. I hurt my finger here and I keep hurting it over and over. Like, if you guys can see, even from there, I did the most. Okay, so it says about the author: after being reprimanded at a genteel dinner party for talking about religion, politics and sex in polite company, Siya, whose full name is Siya Thokoza Khumalo, decided to wrestle with these taboo topics full time. He is often interviewed on radio stations and on media platforms for his controversial, incisive take on current affairs, and has also been spotted on international pageant stages, runner-up to Mr. Gay South Africa, and club dance floors in places where he held beauty titles. He writes regularly for the Daily Maverick and other publications. So this is a bit of a memoir. From what I understand, Siya Khumalo grew up in a Durban township where a sermon could whip up a lynch mob against those considered different. Drawing on personal experience, his childhood life in the army, attending church and competing in pageants, Khumalo explores being LGBTQI+ in South Africa today. In You Have to Be Gay to Know God, he takes us on a daring journey, exposing the interrelatedness of religion, politics and sex as the expectation of African cultures mingle with greed and colonial religion. So that's the one that I sampled that I still want to read. I did not get past chapter 1, but it was intriguing and very well written. The second one I'm sure you guys have seen doing the rounds. This one is A Quirky Quick Guide to Having Great Sex by Tiffany Kagure Mugo. It does say it's for adults, okay? So in this one, Tiffany does explore obviously various forms of sex, but she is an avid Okay, let me just read you her bio before I say things. Okay, Tiffany Mugo is co-founder and curator of Hola Africa, a pan-Africanist hub that advocates for and tackles issues surrounding African female sexuality. She is a TED speaker, plays around on the radio chatting coitus, and is a board member of Frida Fund. She has stories and pieces in over half a dozen anthologies and contributes to a host of spaces speaking about sex and politics. She is a psychology major and future sex therapist, whilst currently being a sex and relationship conceptual expert. She was previously an Open Society Youth Fellow. On weekends, she is a wine bar philosopher and a polymath for no pay. Okay, I want to say there was something else that I had seen. Guys, I don't know how I'm meant to navigate this finger. It is hurting. It's hurting me. It's hurting me. So the pieces in here do include same-sex elements, right? It is a collection of essays. It says sex can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Every one of us can have great sex. Why is lube so important? How do you navigate consent? Is there a way of sending safe nudes? How do you put on a condom correctly? Why are people faking orgasms? How do you enjoy erection-free sex? What is kink? This candid book will answer your burning questions and tell you all you need to know in clear and accessible bite-sized bits. A guide to all things sex and sexuality, busting myths and upgrading the knowledge you already have. It is the ultimate tool to help elevate your sex life. Welcome to the fun house. I want to try and see the bits that I did sample. I want to say definitely did have elements where it talked to same-sex relationships. I actually don't feel like I have to, because I did read this. Definitely it does. Okay, and I do think that she is a member of the rainbow community, so that is one that I am recommending. It is definitely written in a very quirky manner, and it is worth reading. Definitely worth reading. Those topics I don't think will ever grow old. It is stuff that we need to keep telling each other over and over again until none of us forgets it. Okay, so then the next nonfiction is The Pink Line: Journeys Across the World's Queer Frontiers by Mark Gevisa. I have no idea, child. I do not know how to say his name. Okay, so I want to read you a little bit about Mark. It says Mark G is the author of Thabo Mbeki, The Dream Deferred, winner of the 2008 Alan Paton Prize, Lost and Found in Johannesburg, a memoir and portraits of power, profiles in a changing South Africa. He is the co-editor of the path-breaking anthology Defiant Desire: Gay and Lesbian Lives in South Africa. His journalism and commentary have appeared in the New York Times, The Guardian, Granta, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Review of Books, The Nation, The Los Angeles Times, as well as the major South African newspapers. He currently writes the monthly review and essay column in Business Day. He produced and wrote the screenplay for the feature-length film The Man Who Drove with Mandela, which won the Teddy Award for Best Documentary at the Berlin Film Festival in 1999, and he has curated exhibitions about South African history and society in his native Johannesburg. The recipient of 2012 Open Society Fellowship, he lives in Cape Town, South Africa. Very well accomplished. Okay, and the back reads: how did LGBT rights become a dividing line across the world, bringing new freedoms and creating new fears, and what impact has it had on the people who live along this new global frontier? Over 7 years, Mark G has followed protagonists. Obviously they don't write Mark G, okay, it's just me because I don't know how to say this one. Has followed protagonists from across the world to tell one of the most startling stories of the 21st century: how a new conversation about sexual orientation has come to divide and describe the world in an entirely new way. While same-sex marriage and gender transition are celebrated in some parts of the world, laws are being strengthened to criminalize homosexuality and gender nonconformity in others, as globalized queer identities are adopted by people across the world, thanks in large part to the digital revolution. Fresh culture wars have emerged. A new pink line, G argues, has been drawn across the globe, and he takes readers to its frontiers. In between sharp analytical chapters exploring identity politics, religion, folklore, gender, ideology, capitalism, human rights, and geopolitics, G provides sensitive and sometimes startling profiles of the queer folks he's encountered along the pink line. They include a trans-Malawian refugee granted asylum in South Africa, a lesbian couple campaigning for countrywide marriage equality in Mexico, genderqueer high schoolers coming of age in Michigan, a gay Israeli-Palestinian couple searching for common ground, and a community of Kothis, women's hearts in men's bodies, who run a temple in an Indian fishing village. What results is a moving and multifaceted picture of the world today and the queer people defining it. Eye-opening, expertly researched, and compellingly narrated, The Pink Line is a monumental and urgent journey of unprecedented scope into 21st century identity, seen through the border posts along the world's new LGBTQ plus frontiers. That was a mouthful, but this is definitely an important book if you heard anything I said. And yeah, this one I think is available on Script as well, so you can definitely do the audio with the physical copy if you've got. If you don't have the physical copy, you can definitely listen to the audio. It is on Script. Then the next 7 books that I'm going to share are fiction, which is, you know, my jam, the thing that speaks to me, the thing that I know best. And the first is a series that I don't have in my possession. I lent it to a friend of mine, Nontly. So the series I'm going to put up here as images, and then I'm going to link me reading the series, and it needs no guessing. It is definitely Heartstopper by Alice. Why do I want to say her surname is Osman? And I don't know if that's her surname. Alice Osman. I will go with that, okay, for the time being. Absolutely loved that story. It is a boy meets boy high school, so it is a young adult boy meets boy queer graphic novel, okay, or well, graphic novel series. And the things that I loved most about the book is the sensitivity of the topics that were being handled, and the discovery of the self-discovery of the main characters, and just how receptive their communities are to who they are. Obviously, as it is highlighted in Pink Line, there are still societies where certain things are not seen as acceptable. There are still families within those societies who shun certain things and certain behavior. However, in light of knowing all of that happening around the world, the way in which Alice communicates the story is very spectacularly done. I definitely applaud her. There is a television series as well, which is a direct copy and paste of the book series. If you're curious about that, it is on Netflix. The last time I checked, it was only season 1 that's up, but there are 4 books in the book series that have come out, and I think there's a book 5 coming soon. So that was an absolute enjoyable journey, so I definitely recommend that one. And it has elements in the various books that talk to other homosexual relationships that form part of this community. Even though it is definitely focused on Charlie and Nick, there are other homosexual relationships that happen, and those ones are adult and young adult. So it is definitely quite a treasure trove for young adults navigating life in that kind of community or setting. Okay, The next book I'm going to show you was already peaking, and this is Akweke Emezi's The Death of Vivek Oji. Akweke Emezi is a transgender author from Nigeria. So with this being queer month, etc., we refer to transgender as they. Those are the pronouns that they use, they, them. And they are the author of Freshwater as well, which was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction and the Wellcome Book Prize. And they have a various number of other books. They've got two young adult books which form part of a series. I think the one is called Bitter, I forget what the other one is called. And then they recently took out a memoir called Dear Santharan, and then they have Freshwater, they have The Death of Vivek Oji, and they recently took out another book called You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, which I don't have. And what else? Those are the books that I know by them. And let me see what it says about the author, and then I'll read you the back. I won't really give you any further insight into how I felt about the book. I did mention it in a wrap up on the month that I did read it, and I absolutely loved it. I loved this book a lot. So it says Akweke Emezi is a writer and video artist based in Liminal Spaces, a 2018 National Book Foundation 5 Under 35 honoree. Their debut novel Freshwater was longlisted for both the Women's Prize for Fiction and the Wellcome Book Prize. It was also a finalist for the Penn Hemingway Award, the Center of Fiction's first novel prize, a Lambda, I think, Literary Award, and the New York Public Library's The New York Public Library's Young Lions Award, another among others. Their first novel for young adults is Pet. There we go. And so that novel was a finalist for the National Book Award for Young People's Literature. Emezi's writing has appeared in the New York Times, Style Magazine, BuzzFeed, and The Cut, among other publications. Okay. So the back of this one reads, they burned down the market on the day Vivek Oji died. I absolutely love that line. I think it is the opening line to this book. Yes, they burned down the market on the day Vivek Oji died. One afternoon, a mother opens her front door to find the length of her son's body stretched out on the veranda, swaddled in Akwete material, his head on her welcome mat. The death of Vivek Oji transports us to the day of Vivek's birth, the day his grandmother Ahuna died. It is the story of an overprotective mother and a distant father, and a heart-wrenching tale of one family's struggle to understand their child, just as Vivek learns to recognize himself. Teamed with unforgettable characters whose lives have been shaped by Vivek's gentle and enigmatic spirit, it shares with us a Nigerian childhood that challenges expectations. This novel and its celebration of the innocence and optimism of youth will touch all those who embrace it. Absolutely loved this one, I don't want to lie. The next one that I'm showing you is Exhale. I did do a read with me kind of vlog with this one. This is a Hola Africa project. It is queer African erotic fiction, so it is a collection of short stories by a variety of authors that does focus on the queer element. Obviously, I think that is self-explanatory. I want to say most of these authors are African, not necessarily South African. This one was published by Blackbird Books, and the back reads, Exhale is a queer anthology wrapped in the ideas of a release, a letting go, breathing out, an orgasm. These are the stories that come out when you play, sip or spill, truth or dare, never have I ever, and last longer than 7 minutes in heaven. With sexual experiences from all over Africa, this anthology introduces some exciting new literary voices and brings you some of your established favorites. Yeah, so this one definitely is very filled with erotica, so you are going to want to go in there with your eyes wide open. Okay, so the next one, I see my battery's flashing and it's just not right. It's just not right. Okay, the next one I have here is Under the Udala Trees. I cannot rave enough about this book. It's by Chinelo Okbaranta. She is also a Nigerian author, and I read this one in 2020, and it is definitely the best book that I read that year. And without any further chit chat, okay, I know this battery is gonna die on me before I'm done talking, child. Anyway, it says Chinelo Okbaranta was born in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Her stories have been featured in the New Yorker and Granta. She has been a finalist for the Kane Prize for African Writing, the Etty Sellet Prize for Literature, and the New York Public Library's Young Lions Fiction Award. And the back reads, it is 1968, the height of the Nigerian Civil War, when Ijeoma notices a young girl following her home. Her name is Amina, and she is Hausa. Ijeoma is Igbo. Though they should be mortal enemies, the two girls swiftly fall into an irrevocable friendship, one that will shake the foundations of Ijeoma's faith, test her resolve, and flood her heart. Absolutely love that synopsis, but this is deeper than that, way deeper than that. You want to get into this, okay? The next one is a collection of short stories called What It Means When a Man Falls from the Sky, and this is by Nigerian author Leslie Nega Arima. And this is not a queer collection of stories, but some of the stories do have queer elements in it, right? And so I will not read the back because it's not queer focused, but there are definitely queer elements to the story, especially sapphic relationships. That one is there. Okay, I put a little bit of charge on my battery. I hope it lasts as long as I need it to last, because I've got 2 last books left for you. And the next one is this one. It's called No Be From Here by Natasha Omokodian Kalulu Banda. I did interview the author over on my podcast, and this one is by Blackbird Books. And in this book is not focused on queer characters, but one of the characters that is central to the story is a queer character, if you hear what I'm trying to say. And it is also for that reason that I will not be reading the back for you guys, but it is definitely one that was worth your read. This one deals mainly with migration and coming back home, right? Going overseas to look for a better life and coming back to sow back into your community. It is a very, very, very beautifully written and sentimental story. I absolutely love this, and especially the idea that the heart will always be longing for home. Wherever you may say that is, whether it's a person, whether it's a place. That's one thing that stuck to me when it comes to this book. But the characters on here are so very well done, so very well developed, and one of the characters that I loved the most in the story was a queer character. And then the last one, I saved the best for last. This is my fave. Okay, No Ordinary Wonder by Buki Papillon. This is a debut novel by a Nigerian author. I have reviewed this one, so I will not say a lot about it. The link will be up here. However, I will read you about Buki, and I will read you the synopsis as well, because this one is definitely all queer. Everything in here is about the queer character who happens to be the main character in the story. So it says Buki Papillon was born in Nigeria, studied law at Hull University in the UK, and obtained her MFA in creative writing from Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She has received writing scholarships and awards from K West Literary Seminar, Vermont Studio Center, Fine Arts Work Center, and is a VONA alumnus. Buki has been at various times an events organizer, travel advisor, librarian, and chef. Her work has appeared in Post Road magazine and the Del Sol Review. Buki lives in Boston, USA. To learn more, visit www.bukipapillon.com and follow her on Twitter as Buki Papillon. And the back reads, this is an Evening Standard Best debut for 2021, and the back reads, An Ordinary Wonder is the powerful coming of age story of an intersex twin, Otto, who is forced to live as a boy despite their heartfelt belief that they are a girl. Otto's wealthy and powerful family is ashamed of their identity and treats Otto cruelly to ensure silence. The love from Otto's twin sister wavers in a world of secrets and lies, which seems determined to tear them apart, and Otto must make drastic choices that will alter the whole family's lives forever. With African mythology, art, and folk tales, this moving and modern book follows Otto through life at home and at boarding school in Nigeria and their ultimate dream of immigrating to a new life in the United States. It is a novel that explores complex desires as well as challenges of family, identity, gender, and culture. An ordinary one that takes us on a beautiful journey of what it means to feel whole. This is such a beautiful book. I don't know how to even communicate that in a manner that definitely translates, but this book is one that you will not regret picking up. It is definitely my all-time favorite. It is only rivaled in this pack that I've shown you. It is only rivaled by this one, which is also by a Nigerian female author called Under the Udala Trees. All right, so that brings me to the end of this suggestion of queer literature that you could be reading during Pride Month. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button down below and the subscribe button just next to it to join the family. Otherwise, thank you so very much for choosing me, and I love you very much. Until next time, bye now. Satisfaction. Ooh. I'm talking about love. Action. Hollywood. That's how I like. Oh Lord, I don't know how my hands are looking, but what am I gonna do about it? Nothing, actually. All right. Hi. No. Okay, chat. Let me just do this. Let me just do this. Huh? Hey. He's a hazard. I'm a hazard to myself. Okay, I don't know why I'm in this mood, but let's try that again.